Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, fellow members and guests. Today it is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Ken Weinberg. If being a Toastmaster was a job, Ken could now retire. This speech is from the Advanced Communication series, Communicating Through Video. It is the 4th project, and he will be holding a presentation on a controversial topic. Following the controversial presentation, he will open the floor and take a question and answer period. I will be evaluating Ken on his ability to maintain and build a positive attitude throughout the speech. Now, for the first time ever, Mr. Ken Weinberg, Smoke on the Water.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. For several years, cannabis has been legal for use in Canada, first for medical use and more recently for recreational use. It has been available in drugstores, licensed dispensaries, and in home gardens for personal use. Citizens of Toronto and its many visitors have been able to use cannabis on their own private property. Public health rules have been put in place to avoid risking exposure to secondhand smoke and to prevent cannabis users from smoking. This prevents cannabis users from smoking in public, both inside and out. But they're not having the desired effect. Bylaw officers are spending too much time and effort giving tickets to people for smoking up in public. There is clearly a demand for a safe place to smoke cannabis in Toronto, which brings me to today's announcement. In cooperation with Toronto's Department of Health, Parks, Forestry and Recreation, and the police services, we are creating a cannabis-friendly park on Toronto Island on a trial basis. Beginning on the May 2-4 weekend, Olympic Island will be exempt from Toronto's bylaw prohibiting smoking of cannabis in public. Would you please display the image of Olympic Island? Olympic Island is home to the Lagoon Theatre, 3 fire pits, washrooms, sports fields, and has easy access to the Centre Island Ferry, food concessions, Centerville, and a first aid station. To avoid any underage cannabis use, only people 19 years of age and older are permitted to access the island through one of the 2 bridges. Think of it as a designated toking zone. Toronto Island has a long history of providing an escape from the city, only minutes away by ferry. This cannabis-friendly zone is just another reason to include Toronto in your vacation plans this summer. Toronto continues to develop policies that carefully balance the rights of smokers and non-smokers alike. We are committed to making our city a healthy and safe place to live and play. Through our education programs and bylaw enforcement, we want parents to feel that Toronto is a good place to raise their families. Toronto Island is filled with fun activities for the whole family. Rent a canoe or paddle a boat. Rent a bike, play tennis, see the fireworks show, enjoy the many beaches, watch the boats on the lake, play a round of frisbee golf, ride a carousel, listen to live musical performances, and indulge in the midway foods. At Toronto Island, you can escape from it all. With cannabis or high on life, Toronto Island welcomes you. I will now take questions from the press. Yes?
I couldn't help but notice in your map that Olympic Island is right next to Centerville, where when open, it's usually highly populated with families with younger children enjoying festivities. Do you feel that there's concern that there may be some overlap of under the influence adults wandering into Centerville, and how would you address those concerns of families?
It is a concern, but it is not a realistic concern, and I'll tell you why. Today, we have surveyed over 5% of the visitors to the Toronto Island are indulging in cannabis, but they're doing so in various portions of the park, unregulated and uncontrolled. What we are encouraging people to do and providing them is a safe place away from Centerville where they can use their products and know that they are delineated from Centerville. If they want to attend activities in the rest of the park, obviously they're free to do so, as they're doing today. Today what we're doing is providing a place where they can light their products without being around the people who don't want to be near people who are lighting the products. Other questions? Yes?
So is it just an area that is provided for people to enjoy the cannabis, or is it also a place where they can buy cannabis? Or do they have to pick up cannabis from the main land and go there and smoke?
Yes, and cannabis, as it is today, is a product that is sold in drugstores, licensed dispensaries, and for homegrown use. And we have no plans to provide a dispensary on the Toronto Island. As well, it is illegal to sell marijuana in public, and we will ask our park officials to be cognizant of any activity along those lines. Yes, I have a question. Do you have a question?
Yes, does the city anticipate any increased costs in supplying security or safety measures? For example, more off-duty policemen for this new area?
Our experience with cannabis users on the island today is that they're less trouble than the people who are indulging in, say, unregulated alcohol consumption or enjoying cannabis in other parts of the park. We have been very pleased to identify very few problems with cannabis users, and we expect that behavior to continue. And to answer your question, we don't have any direct plans to increase park surveillance, but we'll continue to monitor the situation. Other questions? Yes.
So from my understanding, this is to help cannabis users to have like a safe area or gathering to smoke. But do you see any negative feedback in the sense that it, in essence, sort of segregates tokers? Since it'll be like, you know, if you want to have some cannabis, go over there away from everyone else. Or do you not see that happening?
Cannabis users are welcome on Olympic Island to use their products. When they want to enjoy the rest of the island, they're free to do so, and they are quite close to Centerville and Center Island and bicycle rentals and all the amenities. So feeling segregated is less likely than if we put them into, say, a beach that was at a remote portion of the island. This is considered quite a central location, yet separate from the rest of the island, so that there's a way of preventing underage people from attending the activities on there. And if families do have younger people with them, and someone in the group who's old enough wants to light marijuana, they can go to the island while the rest of their family waits outside, and then they can join their family later. I see a question there, and then I'll come to yours.
Are there any plans to put in place a process or information booths of essentially safe toking on the island or surrounding it, just so that people are informed whether to promote that this is actually a safe activity, or for someone that's participating to not overuse cannabis?
Since the regulations for cannabis have been relaxed and it's considered a legal product, what we're providing is a place for them to use it, and we will continue our efforts in the public health and bylaw enforcement areas. By promoting this area for use of cannabis, we are suggesting that it is something that can be used legally and safely, but you probably don't want secondhand smoke from your consumption to affect other people, and that is the benefit of having a separate area. All right, I see that I'm running out of time. I'll take one more question.
So just as a follow-up question there, like, is there any measures being taken so that cannabis users don't, if they have an overdose or something, that medical facilities that are available to them immediately, or because it's very close to water, extra security there, for the safety of the cannabis users in the island?
There are 2 points to your question. Number one, there are no beach areas on Olympic Island. There are obviously beaches on the rest of the island, but this specific island itself does not have any beach areas. Second point is, there is a first aid station directly across the bridge where the number 6 is presented, and there is a police station where the number 7 is presented, and emergency facilities can be made available very quickly. The police can use their boats or walk across the bridge and be there very quickly. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you enjoy Toronto Island in the future.